This is a training session for a learner using VQ Manager ePortfolio. Please go to www.vqmanager.co.uk to access the ePortfolio. You will be given a username and password by your assessor. Please enter the details here. If you forget your password at any later stage, please use the Forgotten Your Password link. You will be emailed a new password to log into the ePortfolio, and then you can change your password to something that you remember. After you have entered your username and password, select the Login button. You'll go straight into the ePortfolio, which will look something like this. The very first page that you'll be on is your Messaging tab. If for any reason the system is down, usually weekends at night time, you'll be given a message in this area here. You'll also be given some advice about who to contact regarding forgetting your password, etc. You only need to do 3 things in the ePortfolio. All the other tabs are great for you to go and have a look at, but they're not critical to you using the ePortfolio. The first thing that you might be asked to do is look at My Progress Summary, which will tell you exactly how you are getting on with your qualification. It will name the qualification. It will show you an overall percentage of how far through that qualification you are. It's going to be highlighted in either red or green. Red means that you're not going to finish based on the speed that you're currently going by your expected end date. And your assessor may have a plan as to how you can bring that back in line again, and the bar will start showing green again. Every unit that you've been assigned to your qualification will be listed underneath. Some of them may be green, some of them may be grey. Green means that a unit has been given a unit end date. Grey means it hasn't been given a unit end date. In general, most qualifications are delivered whereby you complete all of the units at the same time, rather than starting unit 201, for example, first, and then when you've completed it, you move on to 202. In general, qualifications are delivered where you may touch on criteria across the whole of the qualification rather than just individual units. So please don't worry if some are green, some are red, and some are grey. The next thing that your assessor might ask you to do is to load some evidence. And in order to do that, you would go to My Portfolio and you select the Log Evidence page. You'll see that when I hover over that particular tab, it's got a description of what that tab does. There is also help for this page, which will take you to an audio video session of what you might find on that page, how you complete the document, etc. There's also help and training, which takes you to a handbook as to how you can use the ePortfolio. When you first log a piece of evidence, you will have to select an evidence method type. You can select one or many. You may be uploading a witness testimony on behalf of your assessor. In the summary of evidence description, that's basically the title. So we would put in there the title of the evidence. In the description field, this is a very large box. It will contain a maximum of 4,000 characters, which is approximately 700 words. You can write anything you like in there regarding how you gained that particular piece of evidence, or alternatively you can put see attached. And then if you write see attached, you can upload a file in respect of that particular piece of evidence. You click on the Browse button, you select the file. It might be a Word document, it might be an Excel, it might be a PowerPoint, it could be a picture, it could be a video, it could be an audio recording. Any of those things are acceptable and you can upload them to the system. Once you've browsed and added it, you then upload the file. The maximum size file that you can upload to the system is 100 megabytes. On average, 100 megabytes will take 15 minutes to download, so please be patient when waiting for the file to upload. We're still waiting for this one to upload. There we go, there's the file I've just added. If I've accidentally added the wrong file, click on the delete button and it will remove that particular file for you, and you can browse again and find the file. If you've uploaded, in this example, a witness testimony, you can add the name of your manager in this area here, an email address, and also a telephone number. Should your assessor need to contact those people in the future, they can do that if you add the contact details in here. Now you may or may not see the criteria met section underneath. If your assessor has asked you to map the criteria that particular piece of evidence meets, you would come here, open up the qualification, find the assessment criteria, and then tick off the relevant ones that are met by that particular piece of evidence. Don't worry if you feel that you've made any mistakes. The whole point is that you submit this, your assessor looks at it, and your assessor either agrees or disagrees, and will give you some feedback on the mapping that you've done. If you have not been asked to map your criteria, this section may still be here, but please ignore it and go down to the white box at the bottom, the learner comments to assessor, and write any comments in there that you feel are pertinent to that piece of evidence. When you do anything in the ePortfolio, you must always make sure that you select a blue arrow at the bottom. They all have different messages on. In this particular instance, if we're happy with this particular piece of work and we're ready to submit it to our assessor, we would select the Submit to Assessor. By doing that, it would save that piece of work. If we haven't quite finished this piece of work and maybe we're going to add another document to it, but we've got to go somewhere, we can save and continue later. And by saving and continue later, this particular piece of evidence will find its way to the To-Do tab, and we can open it up at any stage later on. So if we save and continue later, that piece of work has gone. Anything that we save and submit to assessor or save and continue later can now be found in the evidence list. The evidence list is basically your paper portfolio, so any evidence that has been submitted for your qualification can be located in here. There are lots of other tabs that you can look at. You can look at assessment plans that have been assigned to you by the assessor. You can look at the matrix, and the matrix just outlines which criteria have been met by which piece of evidence. So this is the evidence. This is the title of the evidence. And then if you hover over any of the methods, it will tell you how that piece of evidence was extracted, what method. If you hover over the assessment criteria as well, you'll get a full description of what those assessment criteria are. So you can see which units have been assigned to you, which ones have been signed off. You can also see whether or not your qualification has been signed off. You do have an activity log, so if there's anything that your assessor asks you to upload in here, maybe your CV, your job description, you can add a log here. You select the category under which you are uploading that piece of work, again give it a title, and then you can pop a date in that is relevant to this particular piece of work. You can backdate it or forward date it, and then enter the details into the activity log. Once again, you can upload and add a file up to the maximum of 100 megabytes into this area here. At any time, you can go back into any of these activity logs and edit them. The assessor may be adding activity logs for you. It's a place to record anything that is not evidence. The third thing that your assessor might need you to do is other action. And the other action you'll find in your To-Do tab, which is basically your in tray. So if there's anything in here, then it requires action. So this is evidence requiring action. If we select the hyperlink at the end, we can see the comments that are written here. Please attach the certificate as discussed. So the assessor has obviously sent this back to this learner, asking them to attach a document, and the learner would then attach the document using the browse button, write the comments in there saying, I've done what you've asked, and then submit to the assessor. And that would remove that piece of evidence from the To-Do tab. This is evidence that's been returned for action by an assessor. So maybe you've submitted something as a learner, the assessor has had a look at it, but actually they're not quite happy with everything that you've done, and it's been returned to you. This is a section that you'll find that work in. And once again, you rework that piece of work by clicking on the hyperlink at the end, It'll open up the log evidence page, and then you can make any amendments and have a look at any notes that your assessor has made. Unsubmitted evidence, this is where we saved and continued data. So if we then come to this particular piece of work, if we were to open up this again, we can then finish that piece of work and resubmit it. You may also be asked to confirm receipt of the assessment plans. If you go to the assessment plan, take you straight through to the assessment plan that your assessor has created, you'll see that there's a target date for you to complete that piece of work. If there are any files associated with this piece of work, you may wish to read them. And there's an area at the bottom here which is learner confirmation, where you can tick to say that you've seen, read and agreed to the assessment plan, and then save it. That assessment plan confirmation has now disappeared from this section. So you'd need to do the same process for the next four assessment plans that are recorded on here. There are lots of other tabs on your ePortfolio, but really the only other one that you'll probably get asked to have a look at is your progress and then your gap analysis. Now, a gap analysis is any criteria for your qualification that has not yet been hit. So here is the qualification that you're doing, here is the unit, and these are the missing criteria. So you'll see that learning outcome 1 and 2 are actually missing, which probably means that you've already met the criteria in learning outcome 1 and learning outcome 2. So this will just show the criteria that you have still to meet. That list will obviously get smaller and smaller as you get further through your qualification. If you have any further questions with regards to your ePortfolio, please contact your assessor. And that is the end of the Getting Started session.